Episode 217. With Lord Grimm single-handedly keeping Thaw in check, this final stage truly became incredibly simple. For the other four, it felt like a routine fight against a standard boss. All they had to do was coordinate their DPS with Lord Grimm. On the battlefield, Qiao Yifan alternated between the Blade Soul and Ice Boundary arrays. Of the two Ghost arrays he could currently use, he would also employ skills like Ghost Slash, Moonlight Slash, and Full Moon Slash to provide some additional damage output. But as a Ghost Blade focused on arrays, these slashing techniques obviously wouldn't be too high level. Skill points had to be saved for the various other Ghost God powers. A Ghost Blade's personal damage output, compared to a Slash focus Ghost Blade, is still far inferior 1 minute. Toya's health had already dropped to nearly 1/3. At this rate, the fight would clearly be over in under 4 minutes. So much time to spare. It even leaves room for a few mistakes.
Incredible!
Qiao Yifan thought to himself. Even though I'm highly valued in this team, I know perfectly well that I'm not the deciding factor in setting this record. A Phantom Swordsman can indeed boost the entire team's strength. Theoretically, the larger the team, the greater their impact. That's precisely why all the major guilds make a point of cultivating a few Phantom Swordsmen. But in the official matches of the Pro League, the team size is capped at just 5. This places a hard limit on the Ghost Blade's theoretically boundless supportive power. In a 5-player team, the support and crowd control from a single Phantom Swordsman isn't necessarily stronger than the presence of any other style of character. In a 5-man squad, a Ghost Blade is just one tactical option among many. He wasn't inferior to any other class, but he wasn't more useful than any other either. His existence was simply one of many tactical styles. In this 5-player Crystal Land dungeon, a Phantom Ghost's role in the team is to provide exactly this kind of support. But this support isn't the reason this team was able to break the speedrun record. The real reason lies with Lord Grimm. It's the unique versatility of the unspecialized class, fully unleashed, that allowed them to surpass the dungeon's limits. Because the unspecialized executed the two ghosts, sealing the array tactic. It was also because of the unspecialized class that Toya was completely suppressed. This solo suppression was far more sharp and effective than any achieved through team coordination. Then, Lord Grimm's weapon was clearly custom, made, clearly a top-tier silver weapon. What does a silver weapon mean? How could Qiao Yifan not know? This was another offensive advantage. It was another advantage no other team possessed. The record was within their grasp. 2 minutes passed, and Tuoye's health decisively dropped by 2/3. Attack, attack again. The 5 of them kept up the assault. For Qiao Yifan, this was only his second time teaming up with these 4. Yet there was no hint of unfamiliarity. This was precisely Qiao Yifan's characteristic, his strength. He was exceptionally adept at actively coordinating with others. Was this a natural talent, or a habit forged from years on the sidelines? No one could say for sure anymore.
Heads up. He's about to enrage.
When Tua's health dropped to about 1/10, Yishu gave his usual reminder, but Tang Ru and the others remained completely unmoved. Tua's enraged red blood state, last time, it hadn't even managed to pull off any real tricks before being suppressed by Lord Grimm. This time, Qiao Yifan was also ready for the boss's enraged state. The instant it triggered, he suddenly unleashed a floating skill, Ghost Claw, to snatch Toya into the air, then followed up with a Moonlight Slash. He sent Toya soaring into the air. Then, with a flash of his blade's edge, Frost coalesced and shattered abruptly, and a Frost Wraith instantly materialized. Within the ice array, Toya, falling from the air, was continuously taking frost damage. Upon landing, with a sharp crack, he was frozen solid into a massive block of ice. All 5 weapons struck upward at the frozen block. Though Taya inside was undoubtedly wounded, the BOS's resistance proved far stronger. The ice didn't last long, but what could Toya do once he broke free? All he could do was watch his life drain away under Lord Grimm's relentless assault. Sky Strike, Dragon Tooth, Falling Flower Palm, Anti-Tank Cannon, and a brick flying from a sneaky angle. The final barrage sent Chuoya, wreathed in the cannon's explosive flames, crashing into the stone wall of the back garden. No one moved in to finish off Chuoya. In that moment, he was finally finished off. The next instant, system announcement: congratulations to players Lord Grimm, Windward Formation, Steamed Bun Invasion, Soft Mist, and 1-inch Ash for breaking the clear record of the Crystal Caverns dungeon with a time of 22 minutes, 35 seconds, and 22 milliseconds. The world fell into a brief, stunned silence, then erupted all at once. There was no great surprise. For new players in a fresh server, the numbers on a dungeon record, they don't really have a frame of reference. They won't be intimidated by a record being too high like veteran players would. For the players in Server 10, there's only one thought in their heads. The record's been broken again by Lord Grimm. So now, the messages flooding the World Channel were mostly congratulations. And the target of their praise wasn't Yechu's team, but Blue Brook Guild. And that guy from Blue Brook, Cloud Edge Blade. Yin Tingdao was none other than Raoan Chuyang, the one constantly spamming the world chat, challenging Zheng Moxiao, and boosting for someone to break their record. At that moment, players across the server congratulated Blue Brook Guild and their dear friend Cloud Listening Blade for finally getting their wish. A player's capacity for sarcasm is never measured by their level. Even a newbie can master the art of the taunt. At that moment, Riverside Willow's face turned pale. Just minutes before, he had posted another message. He had been waiting for this exact moment to unleash his taunts. Then, a system message gave him his answer. Players around the world began to mock him. Impossible! Raoan Chuyang couldn't believe it. Their record was already the absolute limit. Riverside Willow was convinced there was no room for improvement. Yet now, his opponent had shattered that limit, beating the record by a staggering 2 minutes. Raoan Chuyang simply couldn't fathom how this was even possible. The mockery continued. A classic case of the bully getting bullied. Even bystanders loved to see it. The world chat was buzzing, everyone eagerly speculating about what Cloud-Hearing Blade must be feeling right now. The savage roasts kept coming, and sure, Parted Willow couldn't bear to look anymore. He was afraid he'd die of rage. He had no idea how to respond from behind his computer screen. Raoan Chuyang stared down at his keyboard, his fingers hovering, unsure which key to press. Just then, a system chime for a friend logging off made Raoan Chuyang glance up reflexively. It was Lan He who had gone offline. Raoan Chuyang knew exactly what Lan He was up to. He felt awkward. He felt furious. That guy had finally found his weak spot. Raoan Chuyang realized he was in a tight spot. Just how did Lord Grimm's crew manage to set that record? If I knew, maybe there'd be an explanation. They can't all be decked out in orange gear, can they? The thought flashed through his mind, but he couldn't quite believe it himself. Who would make such a huge investment just for a dungeon record? Besides, in a new server, even having money doesn't guarantee you can assemble a full set of level 30 orange gear, let alone equip an entire team with it. Orange equipment isn't exactly common cabbage.
Lord Grimm, he actually managed to break our record. Not bad. Got time for a one-on-one now.
This one sentence, Raoan Chuyang deliberated for a long moment before finally sending it.